Hello and welcome back to the Kalopsia podcast. I'm your host Sydney, and I'm so thankful that you guys clicked on this week's episode, and I hope that you'll enjoy. So this week I'm coming onto the pod without a huge overarching topic in mind. To be honest with you, I kind of wanted to come on here also for the sake of the podcast in general, its lifespan, just because it would be dishonest for me to come on here and say that there aren't weeks like this one where I don't feel as inspired to talk about a specific topic or have anything to preach or any lesson to teach. You know, a lot of the time that's just not the case. I do feel like everybody's voice matters, and I stand by my episodes and my podcast style. But today I kind of wanted to try to do it and come at it from a different approach, kind of the way that I listen to podcasts as well, just kind of in a sillier way. So if this week's episode doesn't really interest you, then feel free to click on the next one. I'm sure I'll be back with another lesson, but this week's going to be a little bit more loosey-goosey, and I kind of just want to chat with you guys, get to know me, get to know the way my brain works, if you will. But a few of my topics, one or two of my topics are going to be slightly psychological, so there's still going to be some of that sprinkled in. The first topic I wanted to talk about was boundaries, right? And this is one of the biggest reasons why I can't come on here and preach, because I really do think that this is something I myself need to work on as an individual, is setting boundaries. And this morning, I woke up at 6:20 in the morning, and I had gotten like 5 hours of sleep. That's not enough for me. I could not fall back asleep. I think it was anxiety induced, honestly. And I woke up and I was telling myself, thinking the same situation over and over. And I was like, I need to set a boundary here. Like, that's what I need to do, is set a boundary here. And it might not get received and it might not get, taken into account, but that's literally what is required of me. And I think that's why I am staying up. And a lot of the time, we need to trust our intuition. So I did just that. And I sent a message. I tried to set a boundary. It didn't go completely as planned. But the lesson here is that boundaries are important, right? Boundaries are so important, not only for kind of your capacity to trust yourself to say you've crossed my boundary, you've hit my limit, this isn't something that I appreciate. I would like my feelings to be taken account in this situation, in that situation. It's important. It's important for your ability to trust yourself, but also just for the health of your relationships. And having healthy relationships, having harmonious relationships all around you is going to increase your quality of life. And so we need boundaries. We literally need boundaries. And I know it. I know the math. I know the science. I know logically that that's what we need. But why am I so bad at setting them? It's terrible. So that's kind of something that's been circulating on my mind. And I think it's really interesting because I'm basically my Black Moon Lilith. If you guys are into astrology at all, literally at all, I don't know if you guys are, but Black Moon Lilith is not really something that a lot of mainstream astrologists are going to talk about, but it's basically your fighter. Pick your fighter. Who's your fighter? When you're in conflict, who are you? And apparently mine is an Aries. So basically what that means is, do not come at me because I will fight you. But that doesn't track. It doesn't track with my incapacity to set boundaries. I don't know what's going on. So if you guys know what's happening or how I can improve, please do let me know, because it simply cannot go on this way. The next thing I kind of wanted to touch on is that I was watching this maybe 4-minute long video on YouTube, and one of the quotes that he said in that video really stuck with me. And it was literally just it was one of those videos where somebody will just pull up the camera, speak for 4 minutes, and just upload it, no cuts, no edits, no nothing. So it felt really, really authentic. And one of the stories that he was telling was that when you are, this is what they train Navy SEALs for, right? When you are lost in the middle of a forest or on a foreign island or on land that you don't know how to get out of, the worst thing that you can do is just stand there. The only thing that is going to help you is to move in one direction. All you have to do is move in a certain direction. And this is kind of tying in with last week's episode, because I leaned on a episode by a channel, something about the CEOs, and there was this Secret Service agent. I think her name is Ava. I think it's Ava. And she was talking about how the biggest piece of advice that they give you is that when you are in conflict or when something goes wrong, you have to remain in movement. And so going back to the Navy SEALs thing, they say that literally the only way to get through it is through action. You have to start moving. And even if you are on this foreign island and you don't know where to go, moving in one direction is going to tell you, okay, well, that's not the way to go. I know that this leads to a tsunami, or maybe leads to a mountain that I don't want to climb. That's not towards the coast where I can maybe, find an escape. So I know that this is not the way. So now I'm going to go in this direction. So that action is going to lead you step by step towards the resolution of the problem. And so the other quote that he said in that video that really stuck with me was that he said that stress comes from inaction. And I thought that was so, so interesting. And that and another quote on stress that I found really interesting from this girl Flossie, who I watch on YouTube. She said, I'm not stressed. I just have a lot of different things to do within a certain time frame. And I think both of those are two sides of the same coin, because in both of these quotes, we're having an emphasis on the release of stress when you take action. And so when you're taking action, you're not stressing about the fact that, I need to do this, I what if I did this, but, I'm stressed, I'm not going to be able to do this, and you're just thinking and thinking and thinking, and you're not doing. And so that's where you're going to have these stressful anxiety spirals, because your body is stagnant. But, also when you're thinking about Flossie's quote of like, I'm not stressed, I just have a lot of things to do in a given time frame. That is a very logical way of looking at it that is not emotional, right? It's a non-emotional way of looking at the situation at hand. And also going back to last week's episode with incremental steps. I have a lot of things to do in a certain time frame. What is my game plan? How am I getting through this? I thought that was very interesting. And I'm going to walk with that. I'm going to run with it. I've been journaling about it. I'm using that quote. I'm not stressed. I just have a lot of different things to do in a given time frame. That's the reality. And so gotta love that. Have been loving that. Stress comes from inaction. Let that seep into your brain. Really, really helpful. The other thing that I wanted to touch on is how fun makeup is again. And this is just a little life update for me. But as you can tell, I've done my makeup today if you're watching the episode. And I feel like in the past year, I've not been doing my makeup as much just in my day-to-day life. But, makeup is like one example of the base, practice of like putting more effort into what we look like, putting our outfits together, making our external appearance suitable and making like something that's going to boost your confidence. So whether that's putting on a blazer instead of putting on a sweatshirt, or whether it's putting on a loafer instead of putting on a sneaker, maybe it's, if you're a man, shaving instead of letting your peach fuzz or something. I really don't understand how beards grow. It's really confusing. But you know what I mean? Putting more effort into what we look like, it's going to help us boost give a pep in our step. It's going to give us a pep in our step, but also it's the practice of it, doing that extra thing, spending that extra time on your hair, or spending that extra time, like putting oil on your legs. It's dry season, winter time. We've got to put some lotion, some oil, having that kind of self-soothing kind of method, physically helping you to like look better or just put a little bit more effort in your appearance. It's going to help so much. And I feel like that's what I've rediscovered this week. And it's very much a very fun time. One other thing I wanted to talk about is that I've unlocked the best, running environment that's going to help the time pass by so much faster. And so let me trickle down from what really began this idea. So I started doing 30 minutes on the Stairmaster, dare I say about a month ago. I started doing this routine about 2 times a week at the gym. And the routine that I figured out for me is that it really helps if I'm reading a book while I'm on the treadmill. Or not on the treadmill, on the Stairmaster, right? So I'll put my iPad on the Stairmaster, it will hide the time, right? Already amazing. It's hiding the time. I'm not tracking constantly. Oh, it's been 5 minutes. Oh, it's been 7 minutes. Oh, it's been 9 minutes. And then the time it's actually slugs by. I don't know if that's a word, but that's what it feels like. And so I started doing that routine. iPad on the treadmill, hiding the time, reading while just listening to whatever music I want to. Now, I want to stress the value of a library card, you guys. I don't know why when I got into my reading era, I want to say freshman year of college, I was like, a library card? Like, who wants that? Like, why would I get a library card? Like, that's not fun at all. Like, that's so weird. Like, why would I get a library card? Like, so dumb. Like, I'd rather just buy my books. And I think it's because, now that I'm thinking about it, I always liked annotating my books, and I wanted to put like the little index cards and highlighting, and actually I would never highlight, like doing underlining and little notes in the margins and stuff like that. So I would do that, but literally out of 10 books, I would annotate one. Right? So keep in mind, I'm buying like tons of books. I'm buying books all the time. Trident Booksellers, you guys were sick of me. I was in there all the time. And, also Trident Booksellers, great pricing a lot of the time. So really recommend that if you're in Boston or if you're passing through Boston. Sometimes they'll have books in there for like $9. And I'm like, perfect, I'll take that. But right? And also the loyalty program. It's a shopaholic issue, honestly. That's what it is. But, about 6 months ago, I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just get a library card. Like, let's really see what the gag is, right? With library cards. So I decide to get a library card, and my life has changed, you guys. The only frustrating thing is that my branch is quite petite, so she doesn't always have the books I want, but I can like reserve them and they'll just show up a few weeks later or whatever. So that is an option. But the most life-changing thing, you guys, circling back to the whole workout routine thing, is that with your library card, and this applies to all different libraries, I think, like this can work in whatever state you are, I think, whatever library that you are a part of, you can link to this app called Libby. Now, this is not sponsored, obviously, but Libby is an audiobook platform. And guys, life-changing. I have always wanted to be an audiobook girly. I love a podcast. I feel like a podcast is honestly like, it's like the people who like podcasts typically, I think, are the people who like audiobooks, because you can listen to an audiobook when you're cleaning, when you're, running errands, when you're commuting. Same thing as a podcast. It's the same type of thing. And they're at the base, it's kind of the same thing. Like there's a storyline, you're going through something, people are talking, or a discussion, or anything like that. It can happen in a book, or it can happen in a podcast. And so basically, in this app, you can link your library card to it, and libraries will have like partnerships with these audiobooks. And so you go in the app and you can have access to all of the books ever. The only thing is that it's weirdly like not like looking something up online. Like it's almost as though you have a physical copy, and that people are borrowing the audiobook. So it's on a borrowing system. So I borrowed my brilliant friend that I was reading as well. And so I had to wait in line to get access to the audiobook. And then, if I run out of time, so I was also listening to Onyx Storm this week, it's going to expire and then I'll have to get back in line. So that's the only bad thing with it. However, circling back to working out, on my runs, listening to an audiobook, life-changing, honestly. Especially if you're reading an action-piled book or something like that, it will completely take your mind off of the activity that you're doing. Like, literally completely. Also, another thing I've been loving, on long runs specifically, if you're a runner, you guys, if you do like a 6-mile plus run, it's the perfect opportunity to listen to an album in full. And then you're going to be paying more attention, especially if you wear like noise canceling headphones. That's what I like to wear when I run. is that don't do that if you're running at night, you guys, like, stay alert, please. But it's fantastic because I am so bad at listening to an album in full, but it's really important, I feel like, to really appreciate the artistry of a particular album, like the Tate McRae album that just came out that I've been loving, or The Weeknd's album, fantastic, as well as Drake's album. I say that under my breath because, yeah, he's not the best person, but I love his music. I don't know what it is, you guys. I can separate the art from the artist. They made us do an essay on that in my theory of knowledge class in the IB, and honestly, it stuck with me. I mean, I don't even know what the conclusion of that class was, but in my head, it's possible to separate the art from the artist sometimes, especially when it's as mainstream as Drake. I mean, come on. Anyway, listening to full albums on runs, another fantastic opportunity. I feel like this has turned into things that I can influence you guys about, but the other thing that I would like to stress is trying to do a hobby that involves your hands. I feel like there is a different type of calm that overwashes your mind. Like, for example, this scarf shrug thing, I made it myself, crocheted it, and it is such a good way to clear your mind, honestly. And I guarantee that knitting a scarf or, crocheting this shrug is 1,000 times easier than you think. Like, it's actually so easy. It would get really complicated if you're making, like, articles of clothing, like a top, like an intricate top or something, or like a intricate sweater, a blanket. These are big tasks. But even just like watercolor, or just coloring, or just painting, making block letters, filling it out. I did that. Everything I Want Wants Me More. I painted that. It's literally so therapeutic, so nice. You can put on a podcast, put on something, and then it's also like you have that sense of accomplishment. And when we're talking about sense of accomplishment, another thing that really popped into my head recently was how amazing reading is for instant gratification. Like, it is reading and cleaning, right? So I was listening to the @Lexi podcast, and she was talking about how cleaning is literally instant gratification because you do it and then your space is clean and that's your gratification, which is true. Although I feel like that's not going to land with everybody, because sometimes it's like, why would I want to clean? Like, mustering up the courage to clean is frustrating, which can be applied to books too. But I feel like in both of these cases, like, what a healthy way to get your gratification that is not shopping, because that's the other big, instant gratification that we know, as well as food. But reading and doing some cleaning, amazing ways to get instant gratification, because you read 10 pages, you feel accomplished. You read 50 pages, you still feel accomplished. You read 100 pages, you feel extra accomplished. It is like the easiest way. And audiobooks too, like, you listen to that, it's passive, and then bam, you've listened to a third of the book and you've made some progress. Like, it's so nice. And what a healthy habit. What a healthy habit. Another thing is that I think that we need to dance and sing more. That's my honest opinion. I feel like I've never been happier than when I am forcing my entire friend group to learn a dance with me on YouTube, and we all learn and fail and stumble and fail and laugh, and it's an amazing experience, and I really recommend you guys to do it. You can do it with any genre. You just look up your favorite song choreography on YouTube. There's actually a platform that you can use that will slow it down so that you can take a specific section of a music video, for example, and then slow it down, because I feel like these choreographers are actually on X Games mode. Like, we cannot move that fast. Like, I cannot learn that fast. Like, why is a 30 beat per minute video why is a difficult choreography only an 8-minute long video? Like, that's my bone to pick with them. Also, singing is literally breath work. It is so beneficial. We just need to make a little bit more effort to do it. Like, why are we reserving it solely for the shower? Why are we only screaming our lungs out, at a concert? Let's do it at home. Let's do it on the walk back from the bar. Let's do it when we are home alone cleaning, for example. Just scream and shout and let it all out. It's going to be fantastic. And I feel like that is going to make us all happier human beings, honestly. I do think so. Maybe we can end on the note that how exciting spring is coming. I can almost taste it. The lakes are thawing, the birds are chirping. There's some rain. That means that the trees are going to start having leaves. How beautiful. Like, how stunning. What a blessing. Like, we made it through, you guys. Remember, like, we didn't think we were going to make it through the winter. We thought we were going to get bamboozled by seasonal depression. But guys, take a look. It's March 5th. We've made it. I'm pre-recording. We've made it. It's literally the end of winter. Like, daylight savings is in a matter of days. How beautiful. How stunning. How beautiful. Like, how excited. I honestly, like, I could talk about it for another 10 minutes. Like, I'm so excited. Like, think about having, a 7 p.m. sunset. Like, a 7:30 p.m. sunset. I'll never get over, actually, this is my bone to pick with America. Why are the sunsets so early? Because I go to Paris, the sun sets at 9:30 p.m. Like, it's only getting dark at 10 p.m. in the summer. Like, can we not? What's happening with the equator? I don't get it. I don't get geography, honestly. But, like, how beautiful would it be? Like a 10 p.m. sunset. But I'll be happy with the 7 p.m. sunset. Right now, we're still at the 5:40 p.m. era. But soon it will be 6:40, 7:15, 7:20. The birds are going to be chirping. We're going to get that orange glow. Summertime walks, springtime walks. I'm jumping ahead of myself. We can take a walk outside and not be like shivering and our fingers going cold. Can walk with a nice coffee and not regret it. It's going to be beautiful. And I guess that's where I want to leave it off today. Leave it off on a high note. I'm sorry I didn't have a specific topic to talk about, but podcasts are loosey-goosey, right? Like, it's fine. Maybe I can just have a couple episodes a month or an episode a month or so, or we can just gab, we can just chat. And next time I'll get a guest. I'll try to get a guest for you guys. I really will. But that's it. That's all I have for you guys this week. As usual, you can reach out at KalopsiaPod, KalopsiaPod on Instagram and TikTok, and at Sydney Jotita, SYDNEYDJOTITA on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And so if you want to see my beautiful, beautiful face, then feel free to hop over to the YouTube and then you can watch all the episodes over there. I have successfully done every single episode of the season on YouTube as well, which is very exciting because I think this is episode 26, but I will see you guys next week. Thanks again for joining, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye.